If you've ever been curious about getting your hands on any Meraki products or actually wanted to hop in the dashboard and just look around yourself, then this is the perfect video for you because we're going to actually do just that. So all we're going to do is head right here and click on Start My Demo. Simply enter some details here. Let's just click on Launch Demo. And so now we're inside of the dashboard of our very own sample or sandbox type environment. And we're at the organization summary view where we can of course see here and glean some useful information, not only from the tags, they're pretty descriptive, but also from the name. We can see that this is for the most part based on the location and also kind of the functional area. This would be of course remote access for the teleworkers. So we see right away color coded that there's some issues here with 2 access points in London. But let's just go ahead and randomly, let's click on San Francisco. And so now we're actually gonna be taken to this specific organization and the various devices that we have here. So we're presented here with the clients that are on the network right now. And then we can see details down here for the last day. That's the filter that we see here. And the devices that they're connected to. We're given a lot of information that we can actually change with this little wrench here if we want to either take away or see more details than what they have. And then of course click away to make that go away. We can resort columns if we want this to be, say, on this side. And if we want to see the top applications, just simply click on the pie chart here. And if we sort by, well, let's see what we got, usage. Then we'll see the details of the applications there, Meraki, HTTPS, that traffic there, and of course the groups. And we can go back for the last 30 days here, see if anything changes. It might take some time to load. But again, just presented with some details of this sample organization, YouTube. So we'll go ahead and head on over here. And let's actually take a look at, we see that 6 out of 9 switches are healthy. So let's go ahead and head on over there. Now, the cool thing, like I said earlier, is that within the Cisco dashboard, all of an organization's devices can be managed from this single pane of glass. And so we see here the various switches, pretty good naming standard and convention there. We can hold the shift key down and then use our mouse wheel to scroll left and right, or of course just simply drag it by holding down our left mouse. We see the number of ports, switch stacks, firmware versions that we're gonna talk about here as well. But let's go ahead and check out this switch here. Routing status not enabled. All right. We could do some troubleshooting here, but we won't. But we got a lot of useful information from these prompts here, and it's pretty cool. You get a hyperlink about how to resolve this issue, but can kind of already most likely tell what this issue is here, native VLAN number 1. So let me know down in the chat if you think you know what the issue is here. There we go. But the cool thing about the switches is that these colors actually indicate. We see here gray disabled. This shade of green is 1 gigabit per second, and I think it's darker. There's a darker green for any end host or connected devices that are operating at 100 megabits per second. The up arrow, of course, indicates the uplink. And if we were to see, let's see if we can switch just by going here. Yeah, that lightning bolt is actually indicates that on the other side of that link that the device is using requesting power, PoE, power over Ethernet. So these not always will be your access point. There could be cameras and things like that, but pretty cool to see here. If we needed to change a config or anything like that, there are profiles and templates. If we scroll down here, we'll see that there's a default VLAN profile. So it's easy to insert new infrastructure into the environment. But we could either click on the port itself. Let's say this disconnected port here. Click on this edit icon or this pencil and just simply edit the fields here instead of course, using a CLI or the command line interfaces, and we see the standard items that we would need to configure there. Or if we go ahead and click on, let's see, our ports here, then we kind of get a more overview of them all listed here. And we, of course, could click on the port as well and be taken into that. So pretty cool, easy things there. Power would be on the back side if there's primary, secondary power supply unit, and the amount of power that's being consumed and budgeted. Pretty cool stats or statistics there. And then tools, if we wanted to play, it's not really a game of Pac-Man, but you have someone run into the data center or this location. If you wanted to blink the lights kind of sequentially, play a trick on somebody, then that's a pretty good thing there. And then, of course, you could remotely reboot these devices as well. I think it should be right above here. They may have it disabled for some reason on this device. But just, again, useful commands that you would typically have on a standard switch as well. But just high-level overview of the switches. And now if we take a look at the APs, let's see what we got here. Like, again, I'm just not going to edit this video too heavy. I'm just going to go all around the dashboard today. Don't know where we're going to get taken to. We're going to explore this a lot to just glean some information. So there we go. We got our APs. And again, let's take a look. See what firmware devices we got. Okay. Mix of them as well. Pretty cool. All right. The health, again, is going to give you pretty much, there's a summary report that we'll probably end today's video with, because if I come into an organization, that's typically, I know you start with the client overview, but that's where I start to kind of establish mentally a baseline of that environment. But the different SSIDs, we can either filter it down here or include them all. This, again, is too narrow of a window. Let's go ahead and change this to last day to, again, get a kind of idea of what's going on here. 100% client. Sometimes this is authentication, the stage that is affected, and not a successful connection. Authentication, so it's always authentication there. Just a lot of different things to look for here as well. But again, if we consider the firmware version, if we go to organization and firmware upgrades, Cisco, or Meraki, I should say, has a pretty cool thing where, and like, let's say for Palo Alto example, if you go to the device tab, the far right, on the firewall itself, not panorama, and then you go to software and you click refresh, you'll see all of the software versions available for that appliance. But then there's a link to kind of get the release notes. The cool thing about Meraki is that the release notes are all self-contained within here. So you can go as far back as you want to. And actually, let's not click this device. Let's look at either MS or MR. We'll look at the switches, for instance. There's sheer more amount of information about the known issues, what's fixed, some added functionalities or highlights, etc. But again, you can do your homework if you even did this as an organization once a month to see whether you need to update to the latest version. And they have this pretty nifty thing of where they show you the stable and then the stable release candidate. If this is 16.7, then this is probably going to be .1 or the next dot version up. And then, of course, if there's beta versions available, they're here as well. But to actually perform an upgrade, it's pretty cool. You simply click on schedule upgrade, and then let's see, let's go to, for example, let's highlight retail stores. And if we click on schedule upgrades, they have CS or Catalyst switches and then MS Meraki devices. But we would select the target version that we want. We would simply click next, and we can perform that now or schedule it for later. We were to pick, let's say 2200 next, and then we see the number of devices that would be impacted, and then of course just schedule that. Of course, not authorized to make that change here, but then we would see that listed here. And that was for a switch. But the cool thing about an access point is, imagine that you, for whatever reason, you were asked you have to put this critical update out during the production day. Actually, let's see if we can find one. The cool thing is that you actually get to pick between two different methods or ways to do that. Let's see, switch wireless, and I'll show you here. So we'll just hit next. So they ask you, do you want to minimize the upgrade time? Means the shortest time possible. Basically, let's go ahead and upgrade all of the access points at once. And of course, that may disrupt some user traffic for those wireless clients. Or of course, if we minimize client downtime, then depending on the number of APs, they will selectively do some. And we know with the wireless coverage that there's typically more than enough, at least on the 2.4 gigahertz bandwidth, and even 5 gigahertz, which doesn't travel as far. But one AP going down, the neighboring ones can cover those clients until it comes back up. So you get to select that, and I think that's a pretty cool feature as well. And you can also create groups so that you do group 1, these 3 switches at 10 o'clock, and then group 2 at 10:30, etc. Staggered so that you can maybe monitor it, but pretty useful there as well. Another pretty cool feature, if we go to wireless and we go to like RF spectrum, let's say for instance, again, I don't know Sydney, Australia or San Francisco. Ooh, well, I can just look at this bread. But it's pretty cool that we see here, definitely 2.4 is always in contention. Microwaves, just so many devices within the office can interfere with that. And then, of course, we suggest, or the industry standard suggests, to use 5 gigahertz when and where possible. But let's just click on any of these. If we go ahead and let this wireless signal map load, then, of course, the spectrum is invisible. These rays, just like X-rays, gamma, beta, all these other are invisible to the naked eye. But we'll let that load. But the cool thing is that if you look at interfering access points and we change this to 100, we of course have 2.4 gigahertz. This is the band that's the default. And let's just sort this by SSID. And we can, again, I don't know the area of San Francisco, but if you know the area, it's pretty cool to see how far away different SSIDs or networks, wireless networks, that can be seen or observed from wherever this AP is located. 213 there, and 5 gigahertz definitely will be less because, of course, it travels. Oh, it should have been less, travels further. First time seeing that one, but pretty cool to be able to see this and glean that kind of information from, like I said, all of this is within single pane of glass or just the Meraki dashboard, one specific tool. You don't have to hop to SolarWinds to see this, hop to this other application to see that, etc. And then cameras. We not had the pleasure to look at cameras, but me, again, if I wasn't recording this video and was demonstrating or playing around with it, you definitely should try this on your own. Like I said, the link will be down. That link that I clicked on, that website, is down below. But because I've not ever used a Meraki camera, I would probably spend some time playing around here and seeing what I can see. I think we actually can move the camera around. I played with this, felt like a year and a half ago back in the day. I think it was at night, like actually looking at some river somewhere. It looks like there's water over there, but I don't know if this is live or not. But you know, this is pretty cool. There's the time, 2:48 p.m., 5:48 here on the East Coast. So that is live wherever this camera is, you know. So pretty cool screenshots you can take. You know, I'm sure this records to a cloud or a certain area. Perhaps there's analytics or anomalies that can be detected here. If I were to take a guess, over time it will learn different things. And I'll show you that in the summary report as well. If we go back far enough, that the engine, I won't call it ML. People use those buzzwords. That's probably what they would say or market it as. Can detect or establish a baseline of, you know, what looks normal on a network and then show you those anomalies. But so much in here. But there's just so much to see and show here. And like I said, one of the last places that I'll go ahead and come is actually right here on the summary report. And this again provides kind of a more detail. I mean, it's high level, but it's also detailed enough for system administrator, network engineer, admin, whatever role you want to call it, to be able to see what's going on in and around the network or the entire organization. And it's pretty cool, these filters, things like that. If we just want to take a look at just a small sample or portion there, and you just see tons and tons of useful information that would probably make some people just ecstatic if they're into this kind of thing. And again, you can set this one up to be emailed if you want to schedule that report, or just ad hocly export it. And of course, like on most of these, if not all these other windows, add or take away what's seen or the appearance of the different screen. Like I said, let's try to do a custom range. Let me see how far back we can go, because I do want to see if we can. Let's just pick any random. Ooh, it might take a while to pull. Let's just pick 7 or 8 months. We'll see. There we go. So we see an anomaly. Like we said, it's pretty cool over time. It might say, hey, on this Tuesday, there was 1,380% more bandwidth used than usual. And again, these type of things can indicate it could be malicious behavior, etc., going on, but something that the admin should, of course, take a look into, or at least be knowledgeable of. Not even if someone asks, but just to know when to manage their network and know what is or isn't normal or expected on their network. So much here in Cisco Meraki's dashboard. I don't know. Well, they got Cisco Meraki up there. No, back in the day, they didn't like you saying Cisco Meraki. We're Meraki. But I digress there. So I actually, love managing networks or organizations that use Meraki. I know a lot of people frown upon it and call it a light version of SD-WAN, etc. But it is kind of separating both the control and management plane and putting them both here in the cloud. And to some aspects, I wouldn't say the data plane, but there's some type of thing. There's no BGP or any of that going on. But just behind the scenes, it's pretty cool to be able to get a device, plug it up to the internet, let it pull down its config, and then just operate, serve, I won't say clients, but end users, and of course let them access the internet and whatever applications that they're allowed to use. One last part, I guess we didn't heavily touch on. If we go to network wide, it should be there. I don't know. This is a way bigger organizations, and maybe they're probably not. It would make sense, but underneath network wide, the SSIDs would be here on the right side. That's where we would see, of course, the built-in guest SSID and any custom that are added there, and be able to tweak those parameters. And but there's just so much to go into. I mean, we could talk for not just hours, but days about using this and properly managing it and building just that baseline knowledge. But I encourage each and every one of you out there, if you've made it this far in the video, to definitely go ahead, if you are interested in, and just play around with this Meraki and that link. Like I said, I think you get 2 hours. You don't have to put real details in that beginning screen. I tested both with and without, and it just pops, this window or this session up for you. So again, I won't take up too much more of your time, but I enjoyed just talking today, not worrying about heavily editing, and just giving you this information here. You can see my passion for the product, and definitely reach out if you have any questions. Been using Meraki products for probably 4-ish years, 4 to 5, supporting them, and some installations, but primarily O&M and operationalizing, and of course troubleshooting. So got some feedback or experience that I can give depending on the question, and always love to share and give that knowledge when and where we can. So again, I want to thank each and every one of you out there again for rocking and here with me today. And as always, until next time, stay safe, take care of yourselves. Peace.